Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Alessandro, Michael, Leslie. It is so great talking to all three of you today. I really love this movie. So kudos and such phenomenal work, all three of you.
Oh, that's
Thank
great to
you.
hear. Thank you.
Yeah, now, Michael, I want to start with you. I felt like I got to spend a little bit more time with your father by watching your performance. He and Edie Falco are a masterclass in acting and scene partners. What did you take away from watching his approach to acting that you want to bring into your own work?
Well, I guess I've never really thought about that. When I watched the show for the first time, it was all about Tony. It was about playing Tony, who, luckily isn't my dad. One, because I'm glad I didn't have to grow up with that. And two, I'm glad I didn't have to play my dad because I think that would have been tougher. So it was mostly focused on Tony and how he processes and moves and speaks and, his sort of cynicism on life and how he lies and all those sort of patterns that I could bring to this and sort of recreate physically, so that emotionally I had more room to sort of do something brand new. But I guess in regards to my dad's career, I think he always worked with, at the beginning of his career, really great directors and actors. And I think the people I look up to, and De Niro and really any great actor, I think, Alessandro for sure picks specific directors and people to work with at the beginning of the career that's going to teach you a lot. I think that's really important for a young actor, and I think my dad did that.
That's great. Now, Leslie, I talked to you last year for One Night in Miami, and it still remains one of my favorite interviews and conversations that we've had. So thank you for that. It was great. I'm grateful for that conversation that we had. Now, when it comes to this film, when a role like this comes along that is just so different that I think that what fans will expect from you, is it kind of then a no-brainer to take that on, or do you feel like you kind of had to fight for it?
It's a little bit of a no-brainer. I didn't even know what I was fighting for. They tell you so little. I don't know if you guys had the same thing, but I mean, they didn't send me the script. The character names were changed. I didn't really know what I was auditioning for, but my agent sent me this material that was inspiring to me, and the words on the page, they're everything. I've learned that experience and had it a few times, that it really begins and ends with the writing. So I just was so happy to get to say these words for the very first time.
Yeah. Leslie, I think people are going to be so blown away by you. I mean, really, this whole cast, but I was like, yeah, Leslie, just get it. Like, it was great. Now, Alessandro, how do you deal with that pressure of coming into this role that is so regarded and beloved by fans, while kind of knowing the importance that your character is going to have on Tony and the rest of these characters and those choices that he makes?
When we started filming, David, the first thing he said to me was, don't pay any attention to anything anyone in the series says about Dickie Moltisanti, because they're all liars. And so I felt basically like he was trying to liberate me from some kind of responsibility to the series, and to treat this script that he'd written as like an autonomous creation, a thing that existed all on its own, that I could just bore into and create the character from what was on the page right in front of me. And that's really what I did. I mean, he'd written such a morally conflicted person, somebody whose violence are all crimes of passion, unlike a lot of mob characters in the past in films who are kind of calculated and cold killers. And this guy's really a total mess, even though he presents himself as someone who's completely in control. And so that contrast in itself was really my starting off point to try and figure out what these two sides were to this personality. And he really kind of set me on my way with that very first thing that he'd said to me.
I love hearing that actor note of like, don't pay attention to any of the other characters say about you. That's fascinating. I got the rap. I wish I could keep talking to all three of you. I love that this movie works on its own outside of the world of The Sopranos. Like anyone could come in and enjoy it fresh without those connections. It is just a stellar film. So thank you all three of you.
Thanks.
Thank
So
you.
glad you liked it.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Ray, Michaela, it is really great talking to both of you today. It's a really true honor. I love The Sopranos. I was totally blown away by The Many Saints of New York. So congratulations to both of you on really phenomenal work.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Yeah. Now, Ray, it's 31 years ago you starred in Goodfellas, which is considered one of the greatest gangster films of all time. Now that you're entering the world of The Sopranos and David Chase, do you regard the genre or the mob world differently at this stage of your career?
No, it's a different story. You know, there's a lot of stories to tell. You know, sometimes you do a similar type of role. Sometimes, a lot of times you don't. For some reason, these mobster kind of things stay in people's heads, and they you know, there are other things that I've done. I did a movie with Miss Piggy, and I didn't like hit her. Every story. I mean, your career, you're bound to maybe do roles that are similar. That's why sometimes you get the part, because people want to see a certain side of what you bring. Luckily, in this one, I was able to bring a couple of different intensities or thoughts. That is one hell of a library of movies you got.
Thank you. It's all very real too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's unbelievable. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I that means a lot to me. Thank you. I've got Field of Dreams over there, and of course, Goodfellas, like obviously. So thank you. Now, Michaela, when you heard about this project, was it just kind of a no-brainer to want to get involved? And did you have to fight for this role?
Yes, I fought. I don't know if I fought for this role. I just did some auditions between months and months. And I remember I thought, okay, this is the Warner Brothers. I'm going to forget it because I will never get the role. But then I got it. So, yeah.
Now, Ray, take me through reading the script for the first time, because I feel like it's going to surprise audiences. What was different this time around? Because I read that you turned down roles on The Sopranos.
Yeah, there was a part that didn't work out. I just really wanted to work with David Chase. I really liked the story. They didn't even see me. They didn't want to see me at all for it. I flew out to New York here to talk to David Chase. You know, I said, let me at least have a lunch with him. He said, fine, we'll have lunch. There's no guarantee about him doing anything. But I came after it. I really did.
That's fascinating. You still have, like, even at this stage of your career, the work that you've done, you still are like, I want this and I'm going to fight for it. And like, so hard to do that.
It never stops. I don't care what level you are in your career. It's always a dogfight.
Wow. Fascinating. Michaela, what did you take away from being in David Chase's world and then working next to Ray and Leslie and Alessandro day in and day out?
Yeah, it's been amazing because the thing Ray's just said, this is one of the things I've learned from him, that you never stop to learn, you never stop to study, you'll never stop, because when you are a fan, you think that, Hollywood people, they arrived, they are done. But in this movie, I met really great artists, and I'm really glad.
I love hearing that. I got the wrap. I wish I could keep talking about you. Ray, Michaela, this is a real honor. Thank you so much for the time today. I really
Thank you.
Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Billy, Corey, it is really great talking to both of you today. I'm a big Sopranos fan. I was just blown away.
I couldn't tell with all that. Not at all.
They're all very real, too. It's not just about
Oh, I believe you. Is this your own personal library?
Yeah, my husband and I have kind of built this up through both of our lives.
Amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We've got game night and first band back there. Don't you worry.
Okay, great.
Now, Billy, I want to start with you. Did you feel this pressure coming into playing such a really memorable role, or do you kind of just focus on the fun of who Paulie Walnuts was to kind of drive your performance?
Yeah, the latter, definitely. No, I did. Yes, you want to do it justice and everything, but you do all the work, and every job is an opportunity to play. So I think I go into it optimistic and like hoping for the best. And it doesn't do me any favors, like worrying about the pressure of it or anything like that. Or
right.
So it was just more kind of excitement jumping into this thing. And with such talented people, you know.
Right? Like this cast is insane.
You're telling me.
Now, Corey, did David Chase seek you out for Junior, or did you hear about it and knew that this was a role that you needed to play?
It just came to me, which was a really nice, nice way to get the role.
Yeah.
I would have. I mean, that's the thing, is I would have. I didn't know that this movie was happening, and it just sort of happened. But I would have fought for it. I'd love the series, and I was just starting my career when the series was ending. I never even got an audition for anything, and so I thought that train had passed me by, and so to be able to be a part of it and be a part of it in such a with such a vibrant, unique character, it was just awesome.
Billy, were you going to say something there?
No, I was just saying, as Corey's agent, I really fought for him to get this role. And getting that script was a challenge, but we did it. We were successful. I feel great about it.
Yeah.
And as part of the deal, you got to play.
Exactly.
It's a 2-package deal.
A twofer.
No, Billy, why do you think that audiences are just still so obsessed with like gangster stories?
We were actually talking about it earlier because it's everyone loves a story about relationships, and it's family, and there's this community that's built in with it. And like Corey had mentioned in another interview, that the stakes are naturally high in these situations. So I think it's about human connection and these people having a empire within their community.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that, but the family connection is so important. Now, for both of you, you're playing these iconic Sopranos characters. What do you think happens at the very end of the series after the blackout? And were there discussions on set about what everyone thought?
They pay the bill, right?
I know David Chase gets asked about it all the time, and it's kind of ambiguous. So I wasn't sure if you all had thoughts about it, or
I have my thoughts about it, but I don't think it really matters.
Right.
I mean, I think the whole point is that it's ambiguous, and that they could, him dying or not are two things that are plausible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was the most brilliant ending. I remember watching it. I was by myself, and I was just frozen for like a full minute, just staring at the screen. And I was like, I don't care what it means. The fact that something, a TV show, affected me that much and put me in this state of suspension is remarkable.
Completely. And he did that multiple times throughout the series, which kind of just speaks to how you fall in love with characters and you feel like they're people that you know and love based on their performances. And I felt that way in this movie too. There are certain things that happen. I'm like, oh, we're going there. Okay, yes, we did. Like, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And in terms of, like Tony Soprano, I mean, I obviously haven't seen every TV show ever made, but I feel like we know his character better than any character I've ever seen in any medium. Like there is a depth, and the framing of the therapist office and his two different families. You get to see him from all these different angles. And you see him lying, and when he's lying, and you see him telling the truth and lying to himself. And so by the end of those 86 episodes, he is more fleshed out than any character, I would include Shakespeare.
I love that answer. I got the wrap. I wish I could keep talking to both of you. Billy, I'm very excited for No Time to Die. I'm a big Bond.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. We'll take care of both of you. I appreciate the time today. I really do. Thank you.
Be safe.
Paul McGuire Grimes, KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Alan, it is really great talking to you today. I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos, and I really love this movie. So congratulations on just bringing the Many Saints of Newark to life and making it as strong as it is.
Thank you. I'm putting my glasses on so I can really appreciate your backdrop. So
thank you. It's all very real. Like, they're all very real movies. It's not just
it's not just a
virtual backdrop. Now I'm curious, what did it mean to you to have David Chase call you to take this on, knowing that you had directed so many episodes of The Sopranos?
Well, luckily I was spared some anxiety because I didn't even know there was a project until he called me. So he told me he'd written a script, and did I want to read it? Yes. And then we had lunch, and he offered me the job. So I didn't have to go through a kind of agonizing process, but it meant a lot to me to get a chance to go back into this world. It meant a lot to me that he was going to trust me with it. Since we worked on it, he said some funny things that I'm still scratching my head about. He said that of all the directors, he liked some of my episodes the most on Sopranos, but I was the one that gave him the most trouble. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm going to try and take that as a compliment of sorts because you went ahead and hired me. So I guess it worked. But what I like about that is that I think there was a collaboration on the show, and even more so on the movie, where we were there was back and forth, and it felt productive, and it felt good to get back into that world and back into that dialogue with him.
Right. Oh God, I love hearing that kind of back and forth, because sometimes it's not always symbiotic. Now, what was the balance that you found with some of these actors who are playing the younger versions of the characters that we know, so that it wasn't just impersonation? And how do you then play what's on the page versus them leaning into who their counterparts were?
Right. That was daunting, because there was a danger that it would fall into a kind of sketch impression or something. Certainly some of the characters are challenging, because Tony Sirico is Paulie, has a bunch of mannerisms going on all the time, and Sylvia was played by Steve, is in the show, has got such a strong caricature almost in the way he played that character. John Magaro came along and nailed it, and then the way he did it. Well, the way I spoke to all the actors was to say, think of it as though you're playing a historical figure, and it's not like you have to imitate them too much, but you have to do your take on that figure that we all know. And John Magaro solved it by spending time with Steve Van Zandt and just really got into it. And you can see it pay off. I mean, he walks across a room in our movie at one point, and what he's doing more Silvio with his fingers than a lot of people do in their entire performances. But he nailed it, and Vera as Livia and Corey Stoll as Junior. Yeah.
I mean, so brilliant. Watching Vera just explains so much about the Livia-Tony relationship.
Yeah, because she had to do a lot. She had to completely deliver on what Nancy Marchand had done as that character, but also bring all this other stuff into it. There's the stuff that sort of died away, over time. So you see moments where she's almost teared up because she's a mother, and you see moments where she's flirty and sexy with Johnny Boy. All those things that kind of curdled over time later on, but you see them alive in her still. And that's one of the big questions of the movie is, do we have to turn out the way we do? Are we locked in a destiny? And she did a great job of playing all those dimensions.
Yeah. Oh, Alan, I got the wrap. I wish I could keep talking. I had so many questions for you, but congrats on this. It's a really strong film, even outside of what The Sopranos is. It just has its own self-identity. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
COVID hug. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.